In this example, we would like to graph y equals 5x squared minus 7x plus 15 in an appropriate window. Later on in the semester, we will learn that because the highest power is x squared, the graph will be parabola-shaped. We have talked about in the notes knowing what the y-intercept is based off of the constant term. If we were to find the y-intercept by plugging in 0 for x, the x terms would zero out. All that would be left would be the constant term 15. So the y-intercept is known in this case to be 0, 15. The y-intercept is a good indicator of what I would need to set my window to at least include that value. So I know that my y maximum would have to be larger than 15 so that this y-intercept is included. To graph this on a TI 83 or 84 calculator, I would first want to go to my y equals menu. My y equals menu is the far left-hand upper button. Press that button, and then we will enter in the right-hand side of the equation into y1. To do this, we'll press 5. To get the variable x, you will go to the button just to the right of the alpha key, press x. To get an exponent, we're going to use what I call the caret key, which is right above the division key. Press the exponent 2. Some of you will need to press the right arrow button. You see that the cursor in my calculator is up in the exponent. To get it out of the exponent, press the right arrow button. We then want to press minus. Be careful that we notice the difference between this symbol here and this symbol down here. The symbol down here is a negative, and you would only press that if you're at the beginning of an equation that has a negative in front of a particular value. This is the value that, or this is the button we want to press here because we're saying minus 7x. Okay, then we will do plus 15. Okay, now for our window, we're going to want to go to the button just to the right of the y equals. It's our window button. Press that button. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come up with our first best guess. The only thing that I really know for right now is that the y-intercept is 0, 15. That's going to mean that my y maximum would have to be greater than 15. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my x minimum at -10, x max at 10. The x scale is 1. This means the units between the x's are 1 unit apart. Leave that alone. The y minimum is -10, and I'm going to go down and change the y max to something greater than 15. To get to the y max, you're going to press the down arrow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to be 20. Okay, there's no magic to this number, just make sure it's something larger than 15, but I'm going to say not too large. You wouldn't want to use 2,000 or something like that right there. Now, this is my best guess. I may have to change this after a while, but I'm going to press graph to give me an idea of if I'm off or if I'm not. Okay, you see here that I do have the parabola. I'm going to say way up on the top of my screen, meaning that there's a lot of extra space down here at the bottom, and I really can't tell very well what's going on up here at the top. So I'm going to say that this is probably not an appropriate window. What I'm going to do is look here. We see that on the horizontal axis there's a lot of extra space to the left and the right. So the first thing I'm going to consider doing is to limit that. So instead of going from -10 to 10, maybe I'll go from -5 to 5. The second thing I will do, I don't want to totally cut out my x-axis, but we see we have a lot of extra space down here. So instead of maybe going to -10, maybe I'll go to -2. Okay, and then the last thing, I notice that I really can't see what's going on up here above my graph. So maybe 20 wasn't a large enough value on the y-axis. So I'm going to increase that. Let's say we increase it to 30. So let's go back to our window. The x's, we wanted to do -5. Now in this case, this is the button you want to use for your negative. So -5. Go down. We want to do this as 5. Leave your x scale alone as long as you're comfortable with the scale being 1. The y minimum, we said maybe we could make that be -2. And then the max needed to be a little bit larger. Let's say 30. Okay, and then these two values at the bottom, that's the y scale and x-res, don't do anything with those. We can leave the y scale at 1. And let's go back and graph. I would say that this is a much more appropriate window than the first window that we had. You can see the shape of your parabola. You have the y-intercept indicated. We have it, I'm going to say, not so scrunched up together at the top. And so I would say that this is a more appropriate window. Okay, what I will do is I will write down the window that I came up with. The way that I denote a window is I use a bracket. The first value that I'll put will be my x minimum. The second value will be my x maximum. As long as my x scale and my y scale are both 1, I'm not going to write those two values. The next thing that I will write would be the y minimum, which would be -2, and then the y maximum, which was 30.